This is Alphacast. You can think of Alphacast as a GitHub for economic and financial analysts. Data is at the core of the experience, and we allow users to create their own repositories where they can group data where they're working on. Repositories can be public or they can be private. They can be used by single users or they can be used by teams. People could also work with our APIs to automate processes to ingest data into the platform. Um, and then, of course, as I'm navigating on a given data set, okay, so this is macro research data sets created by Alphacast from Argentina. So then I can download the data in multiple ways, either in JSON, CSVs, Excel, or I could also navigate right into Excel, and we have created and published an Office add-in where I could select the USA, monetary information, and by just clicking it, then the data is displayed right into my spreadsheet. Now, data is important, but it's also important to have ways to display data. So here, Sato is a company that is using Alphacast to work with their own data. They have multiple data sets, but then they also have charts. So the idea of creating charts within Alphacast is that not only you are creating a chart, but then these charts are interactive, so I can click on any of them. There are multiple types of charts that we are working with, either bars, line charts, really all sorts of them. One of the things that we've done is also created the ability for companies to make themes on their own charts. And people then can share this data or they can download it or share these on individual networks if the chart and the data itself is public for everyone. Presenting data is very important, but many companies, smaller firms, I mean, they usually have to create reports based on what they're seeing with this economic data. And so we've created a feature that we call insights. So insights is a way to put your ideas into your analysis. So people could, describe a little more about what's going on, or they can embed charts into their insights. And this is really a way to present in front of an audience or really just share ideas with the community. Let's say that there's a data set that is important to me, but I really want to create my own data out of someone else's data. So for doing so, we've created a feature that we call pipelines. So with pipelines, I can select, let's say, I'm going to pick information from Mexico, for instance. Repositories can be public or private. And then here I'm going to select, let's say, inflation data from Mexico. And I'm going to put these into my own public repository. And I'm going to call this Mexico data, right? So now I'm going to read the columns from that original source. And by doing so, I can now create a data pipeline where I can say, well, from all of the different variables that I have here, I'm really just interested in these variables. So I'm going to give it a name. So it's going to be called furniture in my case, because it was original about muebles. And what I want to do with this data, well, let's pick a different one. Let's pick this one here. Is I'm going to do an aggregation of that data. So here I can select between monthly average or monthly sum. Or I can transform data and I want to say, well, I want to turn this into a monthly variable, and what I want to do is translate this into constant prices or do a seasonally adjustment of that data. So this is very, very important because most people doing financial analysis, they are always downloading the same data again and again, and then they are applying the same functions to the same data all the time, and that takes a lot of time to teams. Every time that there's a new version of that data set on the input, then you will have a new version of your output with the pipeline already processing your data for you. All right. So my last comment would be around insights. So let's go back to the portal. And I'm going to create a new insight. So as I'm creating a new insight, what we use is Markdown for that. So I'm going to say, okay, so here is my analysis on New York Stock Exchange. and then I can just say, well, I want to include a chart here, and I'm just gonna select the URL of the chart that I was seeing. So that's how easy it is to create an insight. My last comment to wrap up the demo will be on one of the things that we're working on, which is a marketplace. So the idea is to not only share publicly data among users, but also be able to purchase a given data set and then use it within my reports, my charts, and so on. We're working with companies that are now working on creating their data to be published on Alphacast, and then we allow them to set a price to it, and then people will be able to buy it, and then they will profit from that. All right, hope you enjoy it. Thank you.